demon! Back or I'll... Well, what's this? Oh, Madora, you lummox. 1,000 pardons, comrade. This old bear's edgier than a dodecahedron these days. I'll tell you, it sure does me good to set eyes on another of our order. From Academy West, aren't you? Give Captain Wartruce my regards next time you see him. You wouldn't. I trained up in Academy North, after all. We don't cross paths with you Westies all that often, but it's always a pleasure when we do. Madora's the name. Retired, or so the Order keeps trying to tell me, but never out of commission. My hand to your cause and my sword at your side. Heavens hornets! That's quite a story, comrade. And come to think of it, one that might concern you. See, I'm here on, well, let's call it a loan from a town to the north of here. Hunter's Edge by name. There's been an attack there, comrade. Orcs. Not your run-of-the-mill savages either, but ones who've taken dark magic to new heights. What they want in Hunter's Edge, I can't say, but it's my responsibility to send them packing. Preferably with their horns in their suitcases and a knee-knocking fear of ever crossing paths with a sauce hunter again. I came south seeking the Legion's help, only to find it tied here in Cecile. They don't have a spare soldier to send northward, and even in my finest form, I can't clear the place of that many orcs without backup. By the skin of my teeth, comrade. The savages were rounding up villagers when one of them activated a tripwire on our village wizard's property. Fortunately for me, that particular wizard has a penchant for things that go boom in the night. I managed to wrench free of my captor's grip and flee toward the forest. He pursued me for miles, but I'd lost him before I made it into the Cecile hinterlands. Well, comrade, I hadn't thought of it till you tapped my shoulder just now. But perhaps that's where you come in. I need a contingent I can trust if I'm to take back the town. And the way I see it, you could use reinforcements here in town. I've been scouting Cecile for some time now, and I believe I've sussed out sufficient intel to help solve the murder of the Counselor. With our minds and swords in tandem, we'll make short work of the perpetrator. Well, you know the old expression, 2's a tea party, 3's an invasion. I know this place like the back of my hand by now, and the orcs up north will be short work for a trained-up trio of sauce hunters.
A fantastic plan. With 3 source hunters working in tandem, we'll put an end to all the evils bent against this fair land.
Another source hunter on the team will make us all the more formidable against this wicked magic. Welcome aboard, Madora.
That's the spirit. Listen closely now. Do you hear it? That's the sound of every orc and sorcerer in a 100-mile radius shaking in his wee boots.
They say he's privy to ancient and arcane secrets, the likes of which I doubt you could even fathom, old friend.
Whatever happened to that eager imbecile we sent to the Northern Cave?
Greetings, Source Hunter. I don't mean to hinder your investigation, but I can't open this door for anyone who hasn't received Captain Aureus' explicit approval. Not exactly the friendliest bloke, the Captain, is he? Well, your reward for getting your ear chewed off is a waltz through the town's finest magical murder scene. Enjoy.
Under lock and key.
play here, all right? That doesn't solve the mystery.
I think it would be wise to inspect the Councillor's corpse and see what clues we can find.
Everything we do seems to fortify your abilities.
It's easy enough to gain new strength when one is carrying an entire team on one's shoulders.
The team hardly enjoys being confused with your massive wobbling head.
Tell me, Alistair, have you ever had the fortune of challenging the fate of
Fortune? Ah, these little ducks. Defeated by Alistair the Great.
They say he's privy to ancient and arcane secrets, the likes of which I doubt you could even fathom, old friend.
Now will you realize that reward money won't be lining your
You say you will take me under your wing. But I see no feathers. Are you a child of the birds, as I am of the bears? In truth, this is a relief. Your world is made with rules I have not yet memorized. I am happy to have a friend in such a place. And so the lonely babe was fed upon the wild mother's milk, and cast aside from humankind, he thrived among his mother's ilk. So says the saga of Threes. Do you know it? The wise godwolf Amira raised the child Threes among her litter. So you see, I have good company. Threes the wolfson, and I the Bairdotr. Ask freely, my friend. Your city is far more wild than Home Forest. In Home Forest, the rules are clear. In Home Forest, your strength and speed determine your fate. Here, a tiny screech woman, no swifter than a mudworm, might confine you into a tiny cage, and one must wait for a kind stranger to grant freedom. Jarrett, wise Jarrett, taught me the bird songs of our people. If not for him, I would never have learned more than the beasts could teach me. A beast's life is to survive. A human's is to know. I am both beast and human, and so I must do both. I have learned all the bird song that Jarrett could teach. I remembered every word. These tales have brought me much pleasure. The remembering of the beasts is without lies. We know not to approach the wasp's nest because long ago one bear mother discovered its dangers. This she taught to her cubs, and those cubs taught the next. We do not remember Rito and the battle of the buzzing brutes. We remember only what is useful to us now. Rito will be forgotten. The beauty of the story will be forgotten. But the lesson will not. It is different between beasts and humans. I am lucky to enjoy both ways. He came to me when I was small. A fierce, wild one, yet unaware of the difference between the other cubs and herself. He called to me in a soft song. At first I thought him a great bird. We each reached out to the other. We found each other. Jarrett visited me often. And in time I learned his songs and more. When he built a small cabin within Home Forest, I hunted his food and fetched his water by day while he studied his books and his magics. By night, by the fire, he'd tell me tales of the world of people. Jarrett is my master and my friend, my teacher and myself. He teaches me and I care for him. I heard this was a place of many people, so here I came. I have seen more faces here in a day than I had seen in all the days of my life together. But I have not found the face I seek. Jarrett is missing. It is my duty to find him. That mystery is thick and ugly as a swarm of hornets. It started with a great disturbance in Home Forest. A terrible disease came in the night and turned the birds and beasts soft and foul as carrion while they still lived. I watched countless of my loved ones die, rotted from the inside. When I ran to Jarrett to tell him what I had seen, his reaction was strange. He had no answer. The next morning, Jarrett did not emerge from his room. I left him be, but after 3 days I grew anxious. I broke down the door, and inside his chamber was nothing. His equipment, his books, all but some scraps of parchment were gone. He was kidnapped, and all his research was taken with him. The only clue I found was a letter among the scraps. I could not make out all the words, but I recognized the threat. Death, coming for you. And the signature? Attenborough. I do not know the one called Attenborough, but I know that if I am to find Jarrett, I must start there. Whoever this Attenborough may be, I believe he or she may know where Jarrett has been taken.
Careful, comrade. I think I sense a sorcerer in yonder shadows. Ask away, my friend, ask away. Always helps to know a thing or two about who's covering your back against the gnashing hordes, eh? More than I'd hoped, comrade. I don't know what in tarnation's gotten into the townsfolk here, but there's enough dark magic running roughshod to topple a small mountain. There's Mayor Cecil's doings for one, and the mysteries of our master Cellar for another. And on top of it all, the feline menace is lurking at every hearth and shadow. Now, don't get me wrong, I think the mayor's a decent sort, even if he can't hear farther than the tip of his nose. But from what I've heard whispered around the docks, the old guy's gotten himself mixed up in something not quite on this side of the law. I suspect an illegal source artifact or substance is the root of it, but exactly what or who's giving it to him, I can't say. And since I haven't technically been assigned to Cecil, I don't have the authority to interrogate him. Fella seems like a humble doctor, but I'll bet my sword he's dealing in something darker than splints and tonics. A loose-lipped legionnaire let slip that she'd seen our good doctor scale the city wall on 2 separate occasions, well past midnight each time. What business could he have among the undead? Hardly the habit of an innocent healer, I'd say. You mean you don't already know, comrade? Their kind can see in the dark. It ain't natural. It's no coincidence the Order retired me, or tried to anyhow, to such an aptly named little town. Way back when, the settlement was chartered as a stronghold for source hunters to keep watch over the borders of the Phantom Forest. Don't let the name fool you, though. These days, the forest is little more than a smattering of trees and ruins. A perfect posting for an old bull and her dotage like yours truly. In the days of old, though, the forest played host to source devils of every make and kind. Hunter's Edge was a settlement of source hunters tasked with watching over the border of the forest and putting down anything smacking a source that might creep out of it. By now, it's been centuries since anything more dangerous than a badger has come out of those woods. By and by, the source hunters moved out and regular folks set up shop. But the town's charter requires that at least one of our kind remain to keep the watch.
Tell me, Alistair, have you ever had the fortune of challenging the fabled wizard?
Whatever happened to that troop of eager imbeciles we sent to the Northern Cave?
Do I seem like the sort who concerns myself with such?
Never saw you in the king crab before. You're welcome to scratch me behind the ears if you like. I won't. I am Unsinkable Sam. At least that's what they call me around here. Used to be a ship's cat, but the clipper I was on sank, and I was the only one to wrestle himself free from the waves. The people here were kind and took me in. Been the king crab's foremost patron ever since. A magnificent ship she was. Used to belong to a pirate, I was told. Unlike me, she didn't prove to be unsinkable, though. We hit the cliffs right neath the lighthouse. Not very apt a name for that building, I must say, for no light was shining from it. The moment I hit the water, I writhed around like I would on a hot tin roof. By some miracle, I managed to reach the beach, covered in kelp and smelling worse than a fish's funeral parlor. But I was alive, and that was more than anybody else could say. So I was. What friends I had. They drowned alongside the rats I used to hunt in the galley. And there I was, all alone. Not that I have it bad here, mind you. I've milk and fish aplenty. Most folks will pet me kindly, and when one of the village girls holds me tight against her ample bosom, I purr up a storm. But I do long for a companion of my own kind, and in that regard, there is no one like Maxine. Maxine, the mayor's darling pet. So gentle, so fair a feline. The grace of her whiskers, the subtle palette of dyes in her sable coat. She's one of a kind, that cat. She likes me. I know she does. But when I declare my love, she backs away. I don't know why. I have serenaded her and braved many a bucket of water for my efforts. But for some reason, she is not to be swayed. By all means.
That troop of eager imbeciles we sent to the Northern Cave.
Do I seem
That
like the
purr
sort who
and
concerns
sound.
myself with such?
Mind control vibrations, I'm sure. Don't be seduced, comrades.
Won't be lining your hot
Oh, sorry, Madora. I didn't mean to frighten you.